I decided that today's the day I'm going to talk about our trip to Marseille. I'm going to talk about Clara more and her trip to our home later, but I'm going to do part one of our trip to Marseille. As I told you before, Clara came to visit us. She was 14, and she was from Marseille, France. She stayed 3 weeks. We had an absolute awesome time with her. She was the sweetest, most precious, thoughtful, what's the other word I want to say? Polite, respectful young lady. And we had a great time, and my daughter had a great time with her too. So anyway, the following year, we really got to know her parents through email and everything. So I told Claire, and she was in our house in July, and we told her, we said, look, we're going to be in Paris in September. Why don't y'all come down up to Paris and hang out with us for a day or two, you know? And she didn't really understand exactly. She probably did. But she acted like that wasn't going to happen, probably. So anyway, so I emailed her dad, and I tried to talk him into it, and he says, why don't y'all come, he didn't say y'all, why don't you come to Marseille and visit us? And we were like, I don't know. Can we do that? Where's Marseille? We got out a map. It's on the coast of France, on the southern end of France. And we decided, you know what? Life is short. So we booked our train tickets from here on, I think it was Euro-Rail or something, and they mailed the tickets to our home. We chose a day. It was a weekend, and we were going to spend 2 nights or 1 night. And basically, that's all we knew. We sent them our information, and they said, we'll be at the train station to pick you up. Well, we knew her parents were divorced, but, you know, we didn't know anything. We didn't know who was picking us up. We didn't really know. I mean, we just didn't know. Okay, so we get to Paris. We're doing our thing, as always, and the day comes that it's time to take the train, the bullet train. They don't call it that. It's high-speed rail to Marseille. I think it was about a 2-hour trip. We had our little tickets in our hands, and we left at like 8 in the morning. I think the train left at 8 in the morning. So we had to get to the train station, which we had never been to. We left the apartment. We're up on the hill in Montmartre, so we have to take the incline train down. So we got to the incline train. It's about 7 in the morning. Our train's leaving at 8. There's no attendant. And we're thinking, okay. So we try to get through the turnstile, and it was stuck. So what did we do? We shoved our bags under the turn, because we had a ticket. We weren't cheating. Shoved our bags under the turnstile, jumped over the turnstile, grab our bags, get on the empty incline train. There's no attendant. There's no one in sight. I was so scared we were on some security camera and we were going to get in trouble. I'm just such a rule follower. Okay. We get to the train station. It's the correct train station. We're all excited. We find our train. And y'all, it's not easy. There's all these trains lined up, and they're coming and going, and they're silent. So you better be watching for your train, because you're not going to hear it. It's going to pull up. You're not going to hear a word. A sound. We find our train. We notice that all these people are going up with their ticket, and there's this little yellow machine, and they're doing something with their ticket like this and going back and sitting down. And we're like, we better go do that. What is it? I don't know. So we hear some English people behind us, like Londoners or whatever you call them, Brits, behind us talking. So I turned around and I said, can you tell me what everyone's doing with their ticket over there? And her husband turned and he said, yes, you must validate. You must validate your ticket, like he was emphatic. So we said, oh, okay. So we took our little ticket over to the thing and we put it in and out, and nothing's happening. We step back. We hear other people doing it, and it's clicking inside. We have no validation. We don't know what we're going to do. We keep doing it over and over. We probably look like idiots. Finally, we just went and sat down, and I looked at Scott, and I said, what are we going to do? And he goes, we're going to get on the train, and we're going to go to Marseille. I said, but we don't have our ticket validated. He goes, I don't know what that means or why, but we're going anyway because we have legit tickets. But you know, deep down inside, you're always afraid that you've done something wrong. You know, your ticket just isn't the right kind or something. Okay, we get on the train. Well, we get to the train platform. The train is long, like it goes forever. And we see the car number on our ticket. It's like 22. We tear out because When it pulls up, you have about 10 minutes to load. About 10 minutes, and it's leaving again. And it's funny because it pulls in and then it pulls out backwards, but it's really both ways or forwards. Anyway, we go. We tear out. We're practically running to car 17. We get down there. There's no car 17. Somehow we look back at our tickets and we realize we've read the numbers wrong. Our car was number 2 all the way back. We're sweating. We get on the train. Listen, y'all, it's like first class. These trains are awesome. The seats are big and nice, and you have all this room, and there's room for your luggage. No matter how big your luggage is, there's, well, I don't know really, but anyway, we had room because we only had overnight bags. Put them in the top. You've got this big, giant table between you and the people. There's 2 and 2, and you're facing each other. It was so, I mean, I felt like the most luxurious traveler. I just felt like the Queen of England. I mean, it was awesome. Okay, the train leaves. We're looking out the window. We're enjoying the trip, although deep down inside my stomach is just churning over the ticket validation. Here comes, about 30 minutes in, here comes the little man with his, and no, it wasn't like Petticoat Junction with the thingy. He's just checking everybody's ticket. And I'm like, oh my God, we have the wrong ticket. What are we going to do? So Scott says, just play it cool. So what do? I get my crossword puzzle book, literally, y'all, and I buried my face in it with my pen like this. Because and I turned so that I wouldn't have to face the man because I was so scared they were going to kick us off. But this was like a nonstop, so I don't know where they were going to kick us off at, and we were going 200 miles an hour, so I should have been okay with it, but I wasn't. Okay, the man comes by. He takes the tickets from Scott. I am shaking, y'all, and he hands them right back. He doesn't even say a word. And Scott looks at me. He goes, "You're a lot of help." And I went, ah! So we were fine. All right. 2 hours go by. We go through mountains. We go over rivers. We go across so many tiny French little villages. Every single one of them had a big church thingy in the middle of the town. It was absolutely sheep and goats grazing. Beautiful French countryside. It was awesome. It rained part of the way. Then the sun came back out. I mean, it was absolutely stunning. It was the greatest 2 hours. Just so fun. Okay. Pull into the station. Now I'm starting to get a little nervous, okay? We get off the train. We look over, and there's Clara's dad, and my mind is so blank on his name. Oh my gosh, if they're watching this, which they're not, I would be so embarrassed. Oh my gosh, I cannot think. I keep wanting to say Pierre, and that's not it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll have to put his name right here. There he is with the 2 girls, Clara and her younger sister, whose name also escapes me. This is just real impressive, isn't it? So we see him. He has got the biggest grin on his face. He is so friendly. You can't believe. And he speaks really pretty good English. But he's wanting me to speak French because I'd been taking French lessons, y'all. I forgot everything I learned. He's wanting me to speak French, but I'm just not doing very good. No. Scott was in the front seat, and I was in the back seat with the 2 girls. We get in this little car, small. Evidently, there's no air conditioning. But it was a beautiful day. We get in the car. The windows are rolled down, okay? So my hair is beginning to blow. My bags and everything are in the trunk. I have no brush. I have nothing in I had brought this teeny tiny little bag. I think even my purse was in the trunk. So the whole time I'm doing like this. You'll know why that's important later on. He takes us around town. He's so proud of his city. He's showing us, they're telling us why it's better than Paris. It's cleaner, it's warm here. And it was quite a lot warmer down there by the coast than up in Paris. We are zooming through the streets. There is traffic just goes at will. No one's following the rules. But he's showing us all this stuff. And then he takes us to the coast, to the beach, literally. Gorgeous. And we sit at an outdoor cafe, and we have a fabulous lunch. Scott ordered rabbit crepes, which were fantastic. I didn't order that good. He did. We have this beautiful lunch with them, and it is just fantastic. And here's a couple of pictures. Okay, so we finished lunch. He takes us to a soap shop. You've heard of Marseille olive oil soap. Probably you've heard of it. We go to the soap shop. I get some soaps. We toured an abbey. It was an abbey in the past. I don't know what kind of building it was now. We toured that. It was absolutely stunning. We just saw a lot of the town, and this is going on all afternoon. We stopped for a Coca-Cola in a restaurant, and I went in the bathroom, and I looked like, I don't even want to say. I looked so bad. All my makeup has melted off. My hair has been windblown all day. Okay. So then we have no idea what the agenda is. We don't know when we're going to see the mom. And she has remarried, so she has a husband. And Pierre, that's not his name. He says to us, now we're going to dinner with my family. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to fix my face. I can't go looking like this. And he says, no, we're going to go. It's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. So we pull up into this parking lot. Oh, and he said, and Clara's cell phone is ringing, and they're going back and forth. Like, you can tell that there's a problem, that we're late. We're extremely late, and I didn't know this. And now I'm embarrassed, even though it's not my fault. I'm so embarrassed. And he says, yes, my sister or something has fixed dinner for us. And I'm like, okay. All right. So we zoom. Now we're really zooming. Now my hair is really blowing. We zoom into this parking lot. You know, the whole 9 yards. We get out of the car, and I'm doing my best. Oh, did I mention that I've been sweating profusely? It's hot, y'all. It's hot, and I'm nervous and everything. Okay, sweating, hair, makeup gone, horror. All right. As we're walking up to this big apartment building, we hear this commotion, and I look up, and there's all these people standing on this balcony, and I'm looking around wondering, they're waving, you know, they're yelling, and I'm wondering, who are these people looking at? I couldn't figure it out. But then I noticed that Clara's waving at them, and I'm thinking, they must know these people. Okay, but we're going to the sister's apartment, so whatever. I don't know who these people are. We go into the building. It's super dark, a tiny elevator, super dark. We come out of the elevator, and it's so dark, my eyes hadn't really adjusted yet. But there's this gauntlet of people in this hallway. And I'm being pushed down this gauntlet, and people are kissing me on both cheeks all the way down. There's like 12 people. Scott and I are looking at each other like, oh my God. The whole family was there. All of that side of the family was present. The cousins and all the aunts and uncles. It is a crowd, and they are so excited to meet and see us. And he tells us they have never been around Americans. And we're like, oh my God, like close up, like for a dinner. And we're like, oh my gosh, you know, we have to make a good impression for the good old USA. I cannot even begin to describe to you the dinner. And let me tell you the most upsetting part. My camera somehow had gotten on internal memory. I was only able to take about 5 pictures, and then my camera said it was full. I knew I had a brand new card, but I couldn't fiddle with it too much because we were immediately into the deal. We were in with the people. There was no time to fiddle with anything, right? So I only have a few pictures, but let me describe the dinner. It was about, we were immediately seated because we were late, y'all. We were late. Dinner was ready. They've got this big table in this room. And as time went on and I kind of looked around the room, I noticed there was a mattress leaning against a wall and everything was shoved. This was a makeshift giant table for all of us to sit together. The table was beautifully decorated. Excuse me. The table was beautifully decorated with turquoise and different colors of blue. The presentation of every course, there was probably 8 courses. The presentation of every course was absolutely impeccable and beautiful. These people had gone to so much expense, so much trouble, but they were so proud of their culture and their food. And it was almost all seafood because we're on the coast. You know, it's not like here where no matter where you live, you know, they eat what's local, right? Almost every, many of the courses were seafood. We had octopus. I don't even remember what we had because it was in French, we couldn't understand. Let me explain. And I'm going to pop a few pictures in now of some of the meal, just 2 or 3 of the dinner. Now, let me describe the setting, the situation. Scott and I were put at the end of the table, and then we were at the end kind of, and then it was all the men. Then it was the women and children on the other end. Okay, are you getting what I'm saying? It's like an oval table. Over time, and one of the men spoke very good English. Well, all of them did, but not perfect. Well, over time, we could hear one of the cousins, the oldest one, she was interpreting for the moms and the women and the girls, everything we were saying. Everything that we were saying, she was interpreting quietly as we ate. It was so funny. Oh, okay. My first faux pas, there were many. My very first faux pas was I asked where the restroom was. Now, I know that that's legit. You can ask where the restroom is, but it just felt so out of place, because it was after we started eating, but we were seated so quickly because we were late that I didn't have time to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom and everything, and I looked at myself, and I just gave it up then. I just said, you know what it is what it is. All right. So they're interpreting our whole conversation. The women are like clockwork with every course. But let me explain that every course came with a different drink. A different kind of a wine, a liqueur, a pre-dinner drink, a middle of the dinner drink, a clean your palate drink. I'm telling you, we had something served different with each course, which is very French, and it was awesome. But even if you have 2 sips of everything over 8 courses, you're going to be a little loopy. Well, about halfway through, I'm getting a little loopy. And Scott's getting extremely loopy because he's not sipping. He's toasting with the men after every course, okay? The food was absolutely fantastic. They even had served, and they would tell us what the dinner dishes were, but they said, they had gone and bought foie gras. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it's duck liver pate, and it's very expensive. And they were watching our faces to see if we liked it. And, I didn't particularly love it, but I didn't hate it. But of course I was going to eat it no matter what. But everything else was fantastic. My second faux pas, the conversation never seemed to lull, but at one moment, they were asking us a million questions. Well, I wanted to seem interested in them too, right? So I said, oh, okay, well, why don't we go around the table? God. I said, okay, why don't everybody tell me where they work. I want to know what you do for a living. Well, everybody kind of looks down. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I say wrong? Well, I found out later, a year later, reading a book somewhere, that you don't ask. In France, you don't ask what you do for a living, Evidently, this is what I've read. And I could tell that everybody got really quiet and looked down at the ground. But they did it. They went around and they each told us what they did for a living, but it's not like in America where what you do for a living is job one. That's the first thing you find out about people, It's not that way in France. So that was my second faux pas. Bathroom, and then I asked what people did for a living. Okay, we're eating. Third faux pas. This was the worst one of all, which I didn't know was a big deal. In America, when they offer you something, if you don't want it, now I would never turn down the main course. I would never turn down anything. But y'all, this is like course number 5 or 6. They said, okay, we're bringing out the salad. I was so full and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able. So I said, oh, I don't need to eat the salad. It's fine. And they all looked, they just looked at me. It was really bad. And my mom told me later how horrible that was, that I turned down the salad, but I was so full. I was like, okay. But everybody else had the salad. And finally I said, okay, I'll take the salad. 2 bites, another drink with the salad. Cheese course. I mean, meat. I can't tell you how much food we had. Okay. Now we're really getting into fun. Everyone is so fun. The conversation is super lively. And at some point, they asked us where we were from. They knew we were from Florida, but Scott said, oh, well, we're not really from Florida. We're from Texas. When we said that we were from Texas, the whole place fell out. They were so excited. The men were jumping up. Cheers. Where's your Stetson and your boots? Why didn't you wear your Stetson? It's what they kept asking us. And pretty soon we figured out that every thought they had about Texas in their mind came from the TV show Dallas, which they were still watching reruns of, okay? They ran out. One of the guys ran in and got a bottle of whiskey. So now the men are having whiskey little things, and they're cheering and they're drinking. I'm thinking, we're never going to get out of here alive. I mean, I don't even know. They thought that was the greatest thing. Well, then at one point, too, this is another good one. At one point, they were kind of asking us about Clara's visit. And we were, bragging on her, and she's down at the other end going like this, shy. And we're just bragging on her, and we're telling them how wonderful she was and everything. And I said, one thing that I found interesting is that we have really, really good chicken, fast food chicken called Chick-fil-A. But Clara, I took her to both. She wanted McDonald's nuggets. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. We were so shocked that she liked the McDonald's nuggets more than the Chick-fil-A nuggets. And they had a McDonald's in Marseille. We had passed by it, And they said, well, do you like McDonald's? And I said, meh, it's okay. Like it was super popular in Marseille. And I said, it's okay. We only eat there when we're eating in the car. As soon as I said those words, the whole table went silent. You could hear everyone's fork drop. And he looks at me, Clara's dad, whose name still escapes me. He looks at me and he said, why do you eat in your car? And I said, well, when you're in a hurry. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, when you're in a really big rush, you get your food at the drive-thru and you get it and you eat in the car. And he goes, why are you in a hurry? And I said, well, we're always in a hurry. And he goes, well, why? And the whole table was silent, waiting for our answer. And guess what? We didn't have an answer. They would never dream of eating in their car. They don't even eat on the street. I mean, they would not carry something. They would not eat in their car. It was so embarrassing, kind of, because A, we're eating in our car. That's really kind of gross. And B, we're in a hurry all the time. Why? And they started telling us that we need to start taking more time and relaxing and eating a meal, sit down and eat your meal. They were schooling us, kind of. It was really kind of funny. Well, the very last thing of the evening, and we never left this big dinner table. We were there for 2-3 hours. Probably 2.5 hours. Towards the end, Clara's dad, everybody got quiet, and he said, we have something to say. And he stood up. And he said, and he had tears in his eyes. As God is my witness, y'all, this is the truth. He said, we in France, we realize what you Americans did for us, for our country in World War II. We know what you did, and we salute you. And they all stood up, and they wanted to, chink the glasses or whatever. And it was so moving. And he said, we want to thank you from the bottom. I'm getting teary-eyed now. He said, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for what you Americans did for us. And then they said, and now we want you and Scott to sing the national anthem. Are you kidding me? They wanted us to sing the table. So we said, no, we can't sing. No, we're not going to sing, especially that song. That's a hard song to sing, you know, as you've seen on many baseball and football, basketball games. And they just insisted. So we kind of very quietly sang like the first line, and then they all joined in and sang the rest of it. They knew the song. It was quite interesting. They pretty much knew the song, you know. Well, then we all sat down and I said, wait a minute. I said, we want y'all to sing your national anthem. Boy, let me tell you, those men stood up. I think the women were standing, but I was down here. Is all I can remember. They sang, they went like this, and they were going back and forth, and they sang that song as loud and as proud as they could. And that is quite an epic song. If you don't know the French national anthem, Google it. It's quite epic. I mean, it was fantastic. It was a moment. It was a night that we will never, ever forget. And right before we left, he said to us, he was kind of the spokesman, although another guy did a lot of the talking. There was so much laughter, so much laughter. We joined hearts throughout this meal. And at the end, Clara's dad looked at us and he said something in French. And it's a saying, I guess. I don't really know, but he interpreted it for us. And he said, our hearts are joined forever now. He said it quite eloquently, but he said, we're one. Our hearts are joined. And it was just, I can't even tell you. It was a moment. It was a meal that I will never, it was the meal of a lifetime. It was a moment. It was a time we'll never forget. We still talk about it. It's probably been 6 years. We did correspond for a while. I sent them a big box of Christmas goodies. I sent a CD of the pictures, of the few pictures that I got. I got more pictures of the weekend because we did figure out the camera the next day. That's going to be in next week's video, is the rest of the journey and meeting Clara's mom and her stepfather and all that we did with them. Let me get into that briefly, because when the meal was over, we said goodbye to everyone. It was so hard to believe that we weren't going to see them again, because we figured out that we were being split between the two sides of the family. This day was for that side, Clara's dad's side, and the next day was for Clara's mom's side, and we were leaving that next night, that next evening. We were there just one night. So we figured that out, that we were not going to see them again. We were not going to see Clara's dad again. I mean, they had split us perfectly evenly, because both sides wanted to meet us and spend time with us. So we got in the car, but let me explain now. I am so tipsy. I can't even describe it, y'all. 1-2 sips from every course, and then I didn't do the whiskey shot, trust me. But then, of course, we had after dinner cordial, brandy. I don't know what it was. We got in the car, and we're really late. It's almost midnight, and they're waiting up for us. I mean, this whole thing is so embarrassing, but not my fault. But anyway, we're driving through the streets, back and forth, in and out, zooming. And I'm like, my stomach, I'm like sloshing. It's horrible. Oh. I'm getting myself together. Okay, got to get myself together. I'm still sweaty. I'm still gross. My hair is still a mess. My makeup is still gone. We get to this apartment building, and he drops us off, and the girls take us upstairs. And I think the mom and stepdad walk downstairs. I don't remember, but we get in an elevator. It's late, but we know we have to sit up and talk a little bit and not be rude. So I'm trying to keep it together, y'all. I am so trying to keep it together. They were extremely nice. The apartment was beautiful. I will describe that in the next video. They did they did allow us to go to bed fairly quickly because it was so late, and we had a full day the next day. But they gave us their bedroom. It was so embarrassing. It was a small apartment. I don't even know where they slept. They might have slept on the couch, but they took us to their bedroom, which was really cool. I'll describe that next week. And we crashed and burned, y'all. We crashed that night. We were just done. And so we did stay up and talk for about 20, 30 minutes with them, though. And they were super nice. And I'll tell you all about them and all about our next day adventures next week in my Parisian journey. And the reason I'm putting this in my journey is this was part of falling in love again with France and realizing that the people are not what everybody says. There are some genuinely exemplary, wonderful, friendly, awesome people. And I hope you enjoyed this video. It was absolutely fabulous. I think I got everything in that I wanted to tell you about that day and that dinner. So I will see you next week on my Parisian journey. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it wasn't too long. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.